Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, we opened up that door.
Whatever, just go for it.
Okay. So this does bring up the interesting of, like, so a lot of people don't like Dark Souls because it's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And other people kind of, like, there's that whole stigma of get good.
Yeah.
Get good or go home. And that's not the reason why I didn't play it. It's just because I like to play games that are
Immediately invested?
or not exactly, but this all leads back to the topic of like the conversation of. So I'm saying the same thing over and over again here.
That's fine.
Like people who play games on easy versus the games on hard.
Agreed.
I've always been like, just play a game for you. Play a game for you, not for anybody else. No one else needs to care. As long as you enjoy it and you have fun with it.
Right.
And that's what I was trying. And that's what I was saying.
I agree with you on that. In fact, it's like some people say a game is good, some people say a game is bad, but until you play it yourself and you make the call and judgment on the game, it doesn't really matter what they say. Sure, it might influence your purchases, influence your taste in general, but like one game that was pretty much universally panned like at its release and even still now is Ratchet Deadlock. You know, the Ratchet and Clank series?
Mm-hmm.
The fourth game of the series was not called Ratchet and Clank, it was called Ratchet Deadlocked. It was more of an arena fighter. It was less of a platformer.
I remember that actually.
And I got the game already knowing what people say about it. And I started playing it and I realized it was two-player. I got my brother in on it. We played through the whole storyline. We had a grand fucking time.
Oh yeah.
Every game is different. Like, it should be judged on its own qualities and merits. Like, do I think there were problems with Ratchet Deadlock? Yes. Do I think its one-player campaign was worth anybody's time? Yes. I think it is worth playing. I think it is worth delving yourself into new things that are different. I feel the universal idea that a game is good or a game is hard or that you need to be good to beat a game is worthless. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, don't get me wrong. Dark Souls, fine game. I love it. It's a good game. I just, again, it's not my cup of tea.
It's
like
not your cup of tea. That's fine.
Never my tea.
I've never played any Castlevania games.
Most Resident Evils, not my cup of tea.
I liked 3 personally.
Although
4
I
was
did
alright.
really enjoy the newest one that just came out. It's a really good
Oh yeah,
game.
that one. Yeah, every 3 games they apparently switch up the formula, so that's fine. Keeps it interesting.
Yeah. What game was hard that I really enjoyed? Well, I beat Mass Effect, the Andromeda, on like the hardest difficulty.
Yeah, you see, you liked Mass Effect. I did not like Mass Effect. So
Well,
that's one of the big differences about it.
I also did, well, before I even got that, I beat the game on normal, and then I beat the game on hard, and then now I went to the hardest difficulty, and I just beat that.
Which one did you like the most?
Huh?
Which one do you felt served the greatest purpose?
Probably not the hardest one that I just beat.
But hard mode?
Hard mode, because, I got to know what the story was sort of ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
I get to make better decisions based on what I wanted. It proved to be more of a challenge than the medium enemies.
Because it was more reliant on you making good decisions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And me using my squad mates to, it actually took some focus and effort.
Thought,
Now,
focus.
the hardest difficulty, I actually, when I was about midway through, I realized I actually didn't want to do it anymore.
Playing. Yeah.
I really didn't, because I had done what I wanted to do, and that was get my character up to that point of...
And now it's nothing more than this enemy's taking a little longer than kill than he did.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's not as challenging. Although, one of the enemies is called a... I forgot what they're called, like Revenant something or another. It's a Remnant Architect.
Mm-hmm.
It was these things with these 3 legs and a head, and it like spits out enemies.
Right.
It takes me 2 hours to beat one of them.
God.
And there's like 5 of them in the game.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That is not worth it.
And that's the point that I got to. I was like, after I beat the 3rd one on the ice planet,
You're like, I have 2 more of these to fight.
I'm like, I don't even want to get to the boss. I mean, yeah, sure, I might feel good, but I really want to start working on Godfall.
Like, I have other stuff to do with my
I really want to
life.
go do things that
Yeah.
isn't this.
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, I love Mass Effect Andromeda, and I can't wait to play the DLC. And I really hope it continues because Andromeda might be going, like Mass Effect might be going on hiatus.
Oh yeah.
And I really hope that it's come to that because I personally liked Mass Effect, the game
Series as a whole.
The series as a whole, and I still enjoyed Andromeda because I have a perspective on it when it comes to games, movies, books that it's not going to be like the last one. You play it, it never will be. So don't even think about it.
Right.
That's actually why I've never really cared that. Oh, Resident Evil changed up its formula.
It means nothing to you.
It's going to be a Resident Evil game. Although it did get kind of crazy there for a little bit. So, yeah.
I think paying attention to a past formula and watching it shake gives a game a new grounds. It's like Paper Mario, for example.
I'm going to close this door.
All right.
Because. Alright.
Because we're having a deep and meaningful discussion, and we're actually recording it for once.
Well, not that. It was just I didn't want to bug him.
Oh, okay. As I was saying, like, for example, there were a lot of things that change at formulas. People would be like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. It's like, it does mean something. Paper Mario, for example. They've had a Mario game that was an RPG before, but that was like Mario and the 7 Stars or whatever the fuck for the N64. And Super Mario RPG, that was it. I didn't play that. I didn't care much for it. The aesthetics were poor. I didn't care for the design, and I didn't even have an N64 when it was out. But when Paper Mario came out, actually, I don't think it was an N64 Super Mario RPG. I don't know. I didn't know it. But when Paper Mario came out, the aesthetics were different. That's a huge difference. Whatever. It doesn't mean anything. It's an RPG formula, which is vastly different from Mario's usually, I don't want to say fast-paced, but action platforming. I wouldn't even say action, just platforming in general. And it's just suddenly, instead of jumping on enemies to get to the end goal, it's walking around, doing tasks, solving puzzles, hanging out, reading. Reading? Are you kidding me? Reading in my video game? I can't believe that. How dare you?
I mean, I like it.
I like reading too, but I'm making a point here.
I didn't know if
the formula has just changed. Okay. There is a deep and involved storyline to Paper Mario. But because the formula was changing so drastically already, they couldn't do much more than simply convert all the characters into this formula. Once they got the formula changed, they then got crazy with what they made. And that would be the second game, Thousand Year Door. That's when shit went off the wall. And like, that's a fantastic game. Everybody loves that. But it didn't change the formula from the first one. It was that the first one changed formula so that it could accommodate more change. But it's changes at a time. Like, first Resident Evil game, okay, nothing amazing. There were zombies, there were puzzles everywhere. And it was an interesting story, if somewhat difficult to keep up with, because sometimes you miss a crucial point and you walked around in the same circle for an hour. That got pretty boring. Resident Evil 2, haven't heard a lot about it, but I heard it did... No, that was something else. I didn't hear a lot about Resident Evil 2. I don't know anything. I've played Resident Evil 3, and I know what it did. It fucking skyrocketed the zombie count. It gave you a constant threat that was always looming behind you, rather than just, I'm going through here. It's like, oh, whatever. In the first game they had that. They had, what was it, Lisa Trevor or something? But she was like halfway through the game, and then like, that was it, just that one part. It was like the Regenerator in Dead Space. There was a thing for this one area. But in Resident Evil 3, you had the Nemesis fucking following you pretty much throughout the whole game, except for segments.
Yeah.
And so that shook it shook up its own formula a very small amount, but it kept getting interesting. Shaking up a formula is the basis of making a new game that isn't just a reskin of an old game. So I think that when you look at Resident Evil 7 and you're like, oh, they changed up the formula, I think that's a positive thing. They're trying new stuff, even if it is, at this current time, what everybody else is doing, VR.
You're right. Well, not everyone's doing VR. And right now with Cinemax...
That's a heavy fucking...
What were we talking about? We were talking about...
Oh, formula change from Resident Evil 7 and how, like, oh, you liked Resident Evil 7, but you didn't give a shit about the formula change. Yeah. And I was just talking about how it is kind of important.
What I did like about it is when I did play Resident Evil way back when, I was terrified of it.
It did a good job.
And I never beaten the games. So, but when I started playing like the new Resident Evil 6 and like 5 and 6, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's so different." I played those. I never beat them only because I just got bored of them. And 7 came out, and I started playing that, and it was a lot of the old Resident Evil games that I remembered from my childhood. So I was more like I had to beat this game to get back a piece of that
Childhood that it took from you.
I was too pussy to beat. So yeah, like I want you to know that I was deathly afraid of sharks when I was a kid.
Oh man.
So there was that one area, and I couldn't get past that one area.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get it.
Like most games I never finished playing. It only happened because there was just one area that I was too scared to get past.
There was
Why isn't there any more dinosaur games?
What do you mean?
Like, remember Dino Crisis?
Oh yeah, like there were dinosaur games everywhere.
Yeah,
I get you.
And then now there's not, and I'm just like I'm
And-
super sad about that because like
They have Ark Survival. We could do that.
oh my god, we could do that.
Let's do that at some point. Ark Survival
well-
is absolutely dinosaur based.
Yeah, and I would love to do that. Like a survival of that. Yeah, shit, yeah. And
But yeah, there are dinosaur games that they're definitely not as prevalent because we're still learning that dinosaurs didn't look like that.
yeah, well,
And so nobody wants to make the dinosaurs that are covered in feathers and like little sinewy bits. Like nobody wants that because they're like, oh, that doesn't look like a cool dinosaur. It's like, oh, we know T-Rexes weren't the big colossal things that beat everybody up. They were scavengers. Like nobody wants to see a T-Rex hiding in the corner eating the leftovers. Nobody wants that.
I saw.
That's why we're not making dinosaur games.
But no, I don't even think it's that really. I think it's I just think
think
that
the novelty
dinosaurs wore off, and I'm super sad about that. But I also saw a trailer some time ago, and maybe you can help me know what it was because I have no idea what the trailer's name was.
Okay.
But I believe it was a point of view from a person, basically you.
Okay.
And you walk into this big room with all this crazy equipment, and there's a T-Rex sleeping or something like on a pedestal nearby, and it's not supposed to wake up, or maybe it was frozen and not supposed to unfreeze.
Right.
And then it either A, wakes up, or B, unthaws, and it does its groggy
Waking up kind of thing.
phase, and you're in the character.
It's like, oh fuck.
And like I remember as that person going, "Why aren't you trying to find a place to hide? Find a place to hide!" And I think that would be a great horror game to play.
Just basically play Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be super cool, man.
Yeah, like take Outlast but dinosaurs.
Yeah, and instead of like the Jurassic Park games that they have made, like that arcade game where it's like you're just running from a T-Rex, you're in a Jeep and you have a fucking gun, just take away the gun. Like that's what so many horror survival games do these days, is they just remove the ability to fight back, which I feel is both positive and negative for the genre. Like in a positive light, Dead Space, but after some point playing Dead Space, you weren't afraid of anything anymore.
Oh heavens no! Like
it was simply, oh, it's an enemy. I've killed this enemy 1,000 fucking times.
As soon as I got shit on by the toilet, the game was just over for me. It was, I need to get out of here and I need to take a bath.
Yeah, it's like I remember that. That was the best. You're just like walk in, sprays all over you. You're like, that's it. I don't care anymore.
And I remember from that point on, I was just like, nope, gotta keep going. And then at that point, the game wasn't terrifying, and whenever we play Dead Space 2,
It also will not be terrifying.
It also will not be terrifying.
I'm just going to promise you that. But in my opinion, I think that works better for Dead Space 2. Because in Dead Space 2, it's so different from Dead Space 1. Like, first off, Dead Space 1 was its own new formula. Not a brand new formula. It's still over the shoulder. You're still shooting a gun. But it's like, we removed the HUD and we put it on your character. So it's all nice and condensed in an area where it normally isn't. So, okay, nothing new there. Puzzles, simple enough. Grab, place battery, shine flashlight, nothing really new or groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But it had to set its own precedent so that it could do its new stuff.
Oh, yeah.
In the next game, Isaac Clarke takes off his helmet all the time. Isaac Clarke talks. He has a more active role rather than, Isaac, go fix everything on this ship. It's like, okay.
Oh, right.
He's suffering from PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
He's having, dare I say, intimate conversations with people. He's showing that he's trying to get better from what he suffered.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's still over-the-shoulder shooting. Well, we've gotten all the atmosphere and the suspense done in the first game. We know you're insane. So what do we do in the second game? We're not going to harp too much on that, because the first game was a very slow-paced game.
Mm-hmm.
The second game is, in my opinion, world building. So there's a lot to show, and a lot to tell, so there's a lot more movement, a lot more action involved in the second game. And I feel it works to its credit, because it's gotten all that suspense and horror done in the first game.
This actually kind of goes along with what I was saying earlier. When you go to see like a sequel or a prequel or something, don't expect it to be like the last one or the thing that's supposed to happen, because it's not going to be the same.
It's a formula change.
Yeah, it's a formula change. Now, when it comes to Dead Space, it's a continuation. 1, 2,
It's a
3.
sequel, yes, a sequential thing.
It's supposed to be Witness. You got your horror out of the way. Now you want to do the world building, and then I don't know what
the third one is more world building, but it got weird and is way action heavy.
Yeah,
but I still liked the story of the third one, if I didn't care much for the gameplay.
Yeah, but going from like Oblivion to Skyrim, yeah, you're looking at
the basic formula is the same, but so many variables have changed.
Yeah, and you're not going straight from Oblivion to
Oblivion 2.
Oblivion 2. You're going from Oblivion to about 200 years later to Skyrim.
There's so much that's changed.
And what's basically happening is Oblivion is its own little world, Skyrim is its own little world, and the lore is what you read from the books. Again,
and they'll reference each other,
yeah,
but they can't reference back and forth.
Yeah.
It's just referencing Oblivion and like, this is what happened, and we know how it didn't happen.
Yeah, the Argonians were prepared for the Oblivion crisis, and they fucked everyone up. Well, they didn't fuck everyone up. They more or less took back their land.
And we all know the Emperor's son turned into a dragon. And we all know that
it turned out he basically became the vessel for RK.
Yeah, but that's not written in the history books.
No, it's not.
So we know what happened, but there's so many different endings for it as well that Skyrim's like, we have to have one ending. And the answer was, we didn't pick any. We just know that the Oblivion Crisis didn't win.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's like, great.
We know that
we have their after effects of it.
They say that there's an unnamed hero and Martin saved the Emperor. That's what they mostly talk about.
Yep.
There's a few different variations, like you said, but it all comes back to unnamed hero, you, and Martin. Not you. But he died, so whatever.
Right. And there's references to it with like fucking Sheogorath. That's straight up the character model from the guy in the Shivering Isles.
That's technically also supposed to be you if you played the DLC.
Yes,
that's your old character.
That's freaking hilarious. I love that. But
I really like that.
But getting back on track,
Oblivion, Skyrim, 2 separate instances, and there's plenty of world building, action, horror if you want it in mods.
Yeah.
Against Slenderman.
Shit, man, I had horror just playing the normal game, going through some caves. I'm like, I don't know what's going on in here.
It's too many spiders.
Too many fucking spiders.
Actually, I had a monster hunting mod. I added like different variations and
you just added like 50 new kinds of things to find.
There was like 10 different spiders now, and all ranging from like the smallest thing that could still hurt you. It didn't draw aggro. Like, it had a very small aggro range. So you had to be like right on top of it in order for it to come and get you, but it was still there and still a fucking threat. To like,
how would you kill that?
Fire.
Oh man.
Like, have you ever heard the story?
Fuck. Yeah, burn it with ash. Yeah.
Burn down the house. Yeah.
That works, I guess.
And literally, that's what I do. I just start off with flame magic and just around.
I gotcha. Oh man.
But what I was trying to get at earlier, and to, I guess, the point we're at now, is when you go into a game, you need to go into a game to experience what you want, and not what other people want.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like,
that's going exactly what I wanted. I wanted you to experience Dark Souls, but you wanted to experience a good time. You're not getting that great time. You're getting an okay time.
I'm getting okay time. I'm going to admit that the Four Kings has ruined my okay time.
Everybody has a shit boss. Mine was a Capra Demon.
If there was a way I could lower the settings,
Like the difficulty settings.
like I would lower the difficulty settings.
Just for that boss, man.
I would just lower the rest of the game.
That's fine too, dude. You see, for me, everybody has a shit boss in Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. It's like, Justin's is Ornstein and Smoke. Fucking 5 hours for him to do it. But he demanded to do it alone. You did it alone, no problem. I couldn't do it alone for my first time, but I never really attempted it. I did it eventually on like my 4th or 5th playthrough, but it was kind of tough. The boss that always seems to wreck my shit, though, is that Capra Demon. Him and his dogs. You had no problem with it.
Killed him like 3 times?
Yeah, something like 3 times or so. Me? That took like some fucking 3 hours. I couldn't do it. I got to the point where I looked up strategies online. I would look up, you can throw dung pies over the arch before you go in, and they'll land on him and poison him to death. And you can walk in, done. Kill the dogs, easy. I never did it. I didn't have enough souls to get it, because, I'm still new to the game. But goddamn, that boss is always hard for me. I hate the shit out of it. There's so much happening. And it's not like my camera's constantly fighting me. Although it is, because it's a very tight-cornered area. It's not like it's covered with fucking body hair from the Four Kings. It's just, there's a dog, there's another dog, there's a Capra Demon with a sword, and another sword, and then there's me, and a sword, and a shield, and I need to roll, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to drink.
Mm-hmm.
It's so tightly packed, it's hard for me to deal with. Four Kings, that's like the opposite. There was nothing there, it was me and a dude, and like, it was just so easy for me. It came, like I said, I beat him in one shot. Everybody's different though, you know? You practically beat Ornstein and Smoke in one shot.
Almost.
That's disgusting.
I really don't know what happened last night either. He just slapped me, and I just
It practically dazed you.
And I was just tired at the point. What time was it? Like 11 o'clock when that happened?
Yeah, it was like 11:30.
Yeah, I was just exhausted and wanted to die.
Ugh.
I wanted it to end.
Ugh, that was so amazing, dude.
But okay. A good example of this is also, as I liked Horizon Zero Dawn.
I fucking did too, dude.
I enjoyed it so much, and I love playing it on the hardest difficulty because
I did not.
Yeah, that's fine. Every little thing I did mattered, and I loved that about this game. Big open world, lots of different variables to determine, I can approach it however I want to.
There were 4 difficulties or 3?
There was, I think, only 3.
Okay, so you did the hard one.
Mm-hmm.
I did normal, and I felt normal was plenty good. Like, anytime I get into a scrap, it is life or death scrap, but I'm not risking my life going down to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want that. That would just make moving around tedious to me.
Yeah.
So, that goes back to what you were saying earlier about picking a difficulty level that's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what's good for you going into a game. That's why when it says just play normal, just play normal. Like, I love a difficult challenge, which is why when I played Deus Ex, I played it on hard mode. I haven't finished it yet. I have it. It's still right here.
Yeah.
And I can play it at any time. I'm just not. I actually really want to, because I had so much fun playing it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. It's really not that interesting for other people to watch.
When it comes to what was I saying here? When it comes to difficulty, what I've always found out is like games like Horizon, like Metal Gear Solid,
all the stealth games with tools and utilities.
I've always played on the hardest difficulty.
They're the most rewarding.
Sticks, because
Sticks has to be played on hard difficulty.
That game I've died a million times in, like way more than Dark Souls will ever get to.
Have you beaten it?
Yeah, I beat Sticks 1.
I have not. I've died so many times.
And I want to go and play Sticks 2.
I was going to say, again, you beat it?
No. I played a little bit of it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, dude, let's fucking play Sticks 2.
I know, and I want to play Sticks 2. And Dishonored 1. I forgot if there was a difficulty rating on it.
Oh.
But that was a game I wanted to play, like, on, like...
The normal?
No.
Hard?
Hardest? I played it on normal, but I refused to kill anybody.
Oh,
On my
so you
first
made it
playthrough.
difficult on your own.
Yeah.
That's fine, man.
And I like doing shit like that.
I like it too. It's like, okay, you can play it on these difficulties, but to make it a little harder, you can play it like this.
Mhm.
What was that? Shit, I forgot. Extra credit.
Yeah.
They talked about how Dark Souls has a way to make itself easier. Or Dark Souls 2 in particular. Be a sorcerer, get binoculars, ring of sacrifice.
Right.
And like that's a good way of dealing with it. I don't like the way Dark Souls did it, where you still have to know about it, and you have to hear about it from hearsay or online. It doesn't tell you how to do it. Whereas with like Dishonored or Thief in particular, because that's one I played. I didn't play Dishonored. Is like you can play it these 3 ways, and each one is more difficult than the other. It's like, all right, you can play for Thief. You have Ghost, Hunter, or Opportunist. Hunter would be kill the bad guys. Ghost would be... Oh no, Opportunist would be you turn off all the lights, take out the candles, you know? Do everything you can to just make sure nothing's gonna fuck with you.
Yeah.
And a ghost would be like, not touch the candles, not change the lights, not find any guards, not mess with the guards, pickpocket the guards if you feel like it, not leave a trace of yourself.
Yeah.
And that is obviously the hardest one to do.
Yeah. Like, Metal Gear Solid, my favorite way to play Metal Gear Solid is on the European Extreme.
Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater.
Yeah, Snake Eater.
Okay, that one is so hard. I've never fucking beat it. I think the furthest I got on that mode was, Nope. I never even got to what's-his-face in the beginning of the game. Sokolov, yeah. I never got to him.
Yeah.
It was so damn hard for me.
That was one of the games, like, the story I loved so much. Dude, I'd fucking play it over and over again. I remember I was playing through all the games in a chronological order before 5 came out. And I was like, I'm going to beat them on the hardest difficulties, all of them, to prepare myself for Metal Gear Solid 5.
Right.
And
it just doesn't play the same at all.
It just, now that
That's a little similar.
Well, I beat it on 3. I beat 3 on European Extreme. And then I remember picking it up a little bit later on, like, the normal difficulty. And I got, like, spotted, like, mid through the game. Like, it was the first time I myself had alerted an enemy. And then I was, like, waiting for the game over screen. I was like, oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right. I can just finish this.
And I can just,
Wham!
And I just shot him in the head. I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Awesome.
I love Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I know. There's a game I want you to play on Ape Escape 3 for the PS2.
Yeah.
The mini game, which is just Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah. I think you would like that because it's like, it obviously takes like a parody version of Metal Gear Solid. And for me, when I didn't own any Metal Gear Solid games, I had a demo disc for the PS1 and I had that.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, playing through that, I'm like, and then I went and played through Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Yeah.
Never played 4.
You never played 4?
It never happened.
Oh man, you were missing out on an hour-long cutscene. Greatest movie ever.
Alright, I'll go watch it up on YouTube later.
Remember when I was telling you earlier about you were telling me earlier there's playthroughs where there's like no...
Yeah, oh dude, fucking, my favorite one is actually just Other M. Because like, when you beat Metroid Other M for the Wii, you go into the gallery, and it's like, cutscenes. You can play this scene, or this scene, or this scene, or the one at the top. It says play all. It's like, well shit, I'll just hit the play all button. And it opens up, turns on, it goes to the title, and it says Metroid Other M. The movie. It straight up says the movie, and I'm like, that's awesome. And my brother didn't even play the game. He sat down one day and he just watched. He's like, that was a pretty cool game. And I'm like, you beat it already? He's like, no, I just watched the movie. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I guess it pretty much covered it. And like, I thought that was cool. Regardless of people's opinions about the game, that was a cool thing to do.
Dude, yeah. Wasn't Other M the one where like Samus had a voice?
Yes.
But
technically she's had a voice all the time, we just didn't hear it.
Yeah.
This one is like, we get a monotone voice, we get it done by, I can't remember who it was, I think Team Ninja? I don't know. I don't fucking know who it was. Whoever it was, they constantly threw her out of her suit. And I had a lot of gripes about that personally, just that Well, I've had gripes about that since the fucking beginning of Metroid. Regardless of this, it's like, why is it every time she trips over a rock in the beginning of the game, she loses all her powers?
Okay, yeah.
It's like she took a big blast here. 5 minutes later, she gets shot in the back and loses her suit. Are you kidding me? It's Metroid itself is inconsistent. I'm not blaming them.
Kidding me?
Are you kidding me? It's like Metroid itself is inconsistent, but I still like it because I like that gameplay.